G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. I know it's been a while, again, but I've basically been caught up with a bunch of uni shit and a bunch of IRL stuff, so there's not a whole lot I can do on that front. As for the videos, well, I'll do my best, I'll try and find a balance, but that's really all I can promise. I'm really sorry, but unfortunately IRL has to come first, which sucks. But anyway, we're going to be discussing something that I have been mulling on for a while now, and while this footage was taken a couple weeks back, I believe it is still relevant and still sort of pertains to what I need to say regarding the matter, and that is how competitive is the MiG-21. Now, the MiG-21 itself in War Thunder at the moment is one of the planes that sort of got left behind. The Phantom is, in many respects, the best plane of the patch, and it is by far the easiest plane to work. It's the easiest plane to do extremely well in, and it is by far the most forgiving of the bunch. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that every other plane behind it is not competitive. The MiG-21 still has an edge in a couple of little circumstances, and whilst the new meta really favours things like the J-35D, the F-4E and EJ, the FGR-2, it definitely doesn't quite leave out the MiG-21. It's not that the MiG-21 sucks, but it's not that the MiG-21 is bad at all, to be honest. In fact, it's fairly decent in the meta, and I would pretty much put it with, or if not even slightly better than, the J-35D. Now, in the current meta, you sort of have to stick to the deck, and this is kind of what I'm doing here. I'm not even using Afterburner, just because I'm worried that I'll exceed my speed, and not only that, I don't really need to use the Afterburner. I don't need the speed, because I'm sitting comfortably just sort of below Super Cruise, and I don't need the altitude at all, so I'm not going to waste the fuel, I'm not going to waste the ammunition, and there I see the first missile that has been launched towards an opponent, and I can see a couple of guys popping up on the radar. I think this EJ is heading towards me, this FGR2 is definitely heading towards me, so I squeeze off a quick shot and run away a little bit, and there he goes whizzing past me. Now, my problem with this is I've bled a little bit of speed here. I'm down to like 800 kilometers per hour, and I've decided to turn in. Now, my issue is there might be someone who comes up behind me and takes me out that I can't see, and this is a bit of a me problem, but it's also a little bit of an issue that I have personally with the spotting system. Now, I would like the spotting system to be just that little bit sort of more forgiving, since we're dealing with planes that can cover that 5 kilometer distance very, very quickly. And so in order to sort of compensate for that, much like in my previous video where we're talking about AAA, you could have a higher spotting range of, say, 8 kilometers, and I think this would be a little bit better, especially considering that the turning radius of these planes is starting to get into like the 3 to 4, and even in some cases the 5 kilometer-ish type range, where you will actually benefit from an increased spotting system. Now, I'm coming up against a MiG-21 MF here. The MF is bleeding a lot of speed, and he basically sits in front of me. So that's pretty much a free kill. Now, I've got to be careful, because there are planes around me, and they do have a lot of speed. This FGR2 is a prime example. Now, I'm going to lock onto the FGR2 and give him a piece of my missile mind. And unfortunately, that one's going to sort of... I don't even know what that is. Someone explain that? Might be a bug. It could just be that he's deployed flares. It could be that he's switched the afterburners off. But now I shouldn't really be doing this, but I'm kind of focusing on him. And as I'm out of practice with the GSH-23s, or I think they're GSH-23, I'm not really sure, but regardless, I'm out of practice with the cannons on the MiG-21, and so I'm just going to try for missiles. You can see I'm really woeful with these, and that could just be a matter of me not practicing enough. That could be me just being out of practice, I suppose. I don't know what this is, and to be honest, it's kind of embarrassing to watch. So what am I going to do? If you ever end up in a situation like that and you need to perhaps use a missile, you sort of just lag roll, if you will. And I'm just going to wait until he pulls a little bit of distance. Maybe he's going to try and get maybe 400 meters, and that's where I'm going to strike. There's no way you're going to dodge that, and I get myself a kill. Now, I've wasted a lot of ammunition, and I've wasted a lot of missiles. I think I wasted 3 on that guy, which is pretty bad. it's pretty shit. You should not be doing that sort of stuff. And I have noticed that the R60s tend to, I don't know what it is, but they tend to just sort of do that sort of stuff every now and then. And maybe it's the same for the AIM-9Js, because I did notice a couple of weird things happening. Is it a bug? I don't really know. Is it intentional? I kind of hope not. But regardless, I'm going to take this opportunity to run the hell back to base. I need to get back to base because I do not have the ammunition or even the fuel sooner or later to sustain a fight. So once I do that, I end up basically losing most of my team. Unfortunately, my team is full of either stock planes or people that got swarmed, like this MiG-21 in the distance here. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can do without any missiles because I wasted them all. That would be a poor play by me, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess you can't really put all the blame on me just because of the way the missiles seem to decide not to work all of a sudden. So I have I have my work cut out for me, basically. I'm going to try maybe to get a cheeky shot on this F4EJ. I'm going to send a missile his way, but I don't think it's even going to get close. This particular MiG-21 crashes into the dirt here, probably running out of fuel, and I think the F4EJ spots me, and so I'm going to go in, try and go for a gunshot here, and I miss again. I'm starting to kind of lose my shit here with these guns. They're just not working out for me at all. And now I have an F100 on my 6, but the beauty about the MiG-21 is it can deal with the F100, since it is able to sort of do these weird energy burning maneuvers against the F100. You do have to be super careful, but if you can get into a situation where you just sort of make your way around the F100 and make him overshoot, that is where you are going to thrive. But remember, if you're in a multi-engagement situation, you need to keep that speed. And what I'm going to do here is put myself up into a vertical that I know the F4 cannot follow, go back down, and now I have him in my sights. I have him where I want him, because basically, if you overshoot at top tier jets, you are as good as dead. Here we go. I've managed to get the lineup. I've got the missile on its way, and that is going to make a beautiful strike, giving me 4 very cheeky kills. Now, my work here isn't done. I still have 2 or 3 opponents left. And as I said, my work is very much cut out for me. I need to get as many kills as possible with 1 missile and 129 rounds of 23 that goes extremely quickly. And so, what am I going to do? I'm going to make my way sort of not quite towards the opponent's airfield, but in the general direction. I don't want to go and runway strafe, and I've already talked about that. I don't really think it's a great idea. But if someone is going to sort of jet away, like this particular MiG-21 here, so I'm gonna go engage in a dogfight. I would like a dogfight, and you don't get that opportunity very often. Notice I've switched my afterburner off, and I've gone straight for a hard turn. I'm going for the full burn because I'm guessing that this MiG-21 is going to engage with me, and that's exactly what he does. The MiG-21 MF is a lot lighter than the MiG-21 SMT, but you've got to remember that they are basically the same plane. There's very little difference between the 21 SMT and the MF. If you compare it to each other, a good SMT pilot can still beat an MF, and whilst I do have 2 of them on me, the SMT here has way overcooked his shot, and the MF does not seem to have the energy to follow. So if I can get a quick missile off onto this SMT, I have a better chance to finish the MF with guns. I'm going to put myself down into a sort of split S, if you will, and then I'm going to try and cut back in towards the MF. We're ducking here below the trees, and now both of us have to avoid the trees in order to not die. I put myself straight into a vertical, putting the takeoff flaps back on, and because I'm a little bit heavy, I do sort of float down a little bit quicker, and now I've put myself in a really, really good spot. The MF is basically screwed. There's not a lot he can do, and he probably should have boom and zoomed while the SMT dogfought me, or vice versa, but unfortunately both of them overcooked, and now it's only a matter of me landing my guns, and I manage a critical hit. Finally, the guns do some work, and now I am basically in a winning dogfight against the MiG-21 MF here. A critical MF is basically screwed, especially against another MiG-21. Good fight there, mate. I really appreciate it, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that recognized me from my YouTube content. So, good fight, mate. It was a great battle. Hopefully, we'll see each other next time, and maybe, just maybe, he'll beat me in a fair and square dogfight. And that would be beautiful to see, honestly. 6 kills as well. Honestly, the MiG-21 is still very competitive. It's nowhere near as good as the Phantom. I still think the Phantom just has the utility and everything you could possibly want in a jet. It's got easy guns, it's got decent speed, decent acceleration, decent climb rate, decent radar, RWR, it's got good missiles, it's got plenty of them, but the MiG-21 still comes out with the goods, and I think that should never, ever be forgotten. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being very patient with me. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.